Welcome to the Steve and Cimino Says Boom Show issue number 79.
Boom! Hey everyone, welcome to Pop XP. And before the show starts, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content. And don't forget, if you can, make sure to share our stream on all your social media outlets. We appreciate it, and thanks for helping us grow the Pop XP channel.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the Steve and Cimino Says Boom Show, issue 79. Now, before we go into it, this guy doesn't look that much like Steve. He's a little smaller, a little chunkier, and a little more softer. But we got Niall Scala in the house. Just so Steve's got computer problems, he might be bumping in here at any time, hopefully soon. But Niall, it's a big one. Whether we don't wait for Steve. This is too big.
We cannot wait for Steve at all. And to clarify, I'm only about 2 inches shorter than Steve, and I'm not that pudgy. I'm not that pudgy at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Come
Steve,
on.
No, Steve.
And I got the Steve hairstyle. We're good. Yeah. We're like twins, man. We're twins. But everyone, please look below, click that subscribe button, and smash that bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload some amazing content like you're about to see tonight. And John, oh man, I'm pumped, dude. I am pumped right now with our guest tonight.
Yes, I understand. And this is what hurts me that Steve's not here, but like we always got surprises and thrills, so it does. Hopefully he can join in the festivities, but we've done this 79 times and we had so many guests. Now, this guest right here, yes, he's a big wig in Hollywood. He's done a couple movies. He's done he's an executive producer in a couple of Batman films. Okay, we know he's a legend, yes. But I love this guy and I respect this guy because he is such a fanboy, and he's a guy that kind of had to cultivate his own path and make it into the business. And he has so many parallels with me, and I can't wait to talk about that. Yes, we're going to talk about his work. I know now you got a lot to say to him about his work, his cart, all that stuff. But I want to talk to him about one of the greatest memoirs I ever saw. Oh my God! If anybody out there has not read this, it's a true testament of somebody. That's the new cover of somebody that's just overcame incredible obstacles, and I'm so happy that we have him. And so, Steve, maybe he's on Pawn Stars again, judging his little comic books, blah, 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 blah. He should be over here. Get that computer working, brother. Buy a computer at Pawn Stars because Niall.
Tell Chumley.
yeah, ask Chumley. But without further ado, we're bringing this guy out. Niall, why don't you introduce this man?
Oh, we're going to do it. And first, we have to set the mood here a little bit if we're going to get this going. Because, I mean, from films, television, I mean, DC, direct-to-video, dino saucers, incredible stuff. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Michael Uslan to the show.
Hey, fellas.
How are you doing?
Oh, Michael, once again, thank you so much for being here. And I know Michael's a little sick, but Michael, before we begin anything, me and Niall have a little special little gift for you here. A dear friend of mine that I love so much. She is so incredible. When I met her, we fell in love, and she's such an incredible. And I think you might know her. And I said to her, I called her earlier today and I said, I want you to come on and I want you to say hello to somebody. So, Niall, who are we bringing out here?
Everyone, please welcome the great Athena Finger.
Uh,
Hi, Michael.
hi, Athena.
It's so good to see you.
This is awesome. How are you? How's everybody?
I am so good. I'm so sorry you're sick, but it's wonderful to see you.
Will you be in San Diego?
I will be, so I'll see you in a few weeks.
Yes, we will book something in advance.
Yes.
Great.
Happy 85th anniversary to the Bats.
Thank you. And the 35th to our first Batman movie.
Yes,
Oh,
Not a bad double shot right there.
exactly.
In fact, it was the official 35th anniversary was yesterday. June 23rd.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
and,
thanks.
and Athena, we're gonna have you back on for a solo episode where you can talk about everything.
Yes.
And she's not only the Batgirl, she's such a wonderful, and I love Athena. She knows I'm a little cuckoo, and I'm cuckoo for her, and all that stuff. And there's nothing better than having Bill Finger here in spirit with you, Michael. And I wanted to bring her here to say hi to you and stuff, and just to open it, because being a fanboy, I know you worked with her and I know you know, but it was something I wanted to do at the bottom of my heart. And I love this. I love just to have this.
You know, it was only when Athena stepped into the shoes of her family legacy that the powers that be were finally able to understand how important it was to the fans that Bill get his recognition.
Oh,
And it was essential, and it was years and years and years of toil led by her, and would not have happened without her. And I think comic book fandom united, as well as the world of cinema, owes her a great big debt of thanks.
Oh, thank you. You're gonna
Agreed.
make me cry,
Agreed.
Michael.
Oh, it's true, honey. It's true.
I love you. I'm gonna let you go ahead and have a wonderful time with these gentlemen, and I'll see you in San Diego.
Absolutely.
love you, Athena.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Athena.
Thank you.
All right. So I just want to thank you, Michael, because I knew you were sick, and I told you I wanted you on, and I wanted to have her on there too. I love Athena. She's such a wonderful person and all that stuff.
She's terrific, and her heart's in the right place. Really is.
Oh, okay. So before we get into it, once again, I know we're going to talk. Niall's going to talk about your work, and if Steve gets in here, he's going to talk about your work. But I need to tell people about this. And you gave me news about this book. So could you please tell people what's going on with The Boy Who Loves Batman?
Sure. As Stan Lee used to tell me, Michael, anytime you see an opening to get in the plug, go for it.
Of course.
So here it comes. My memoir, The Boy Who Loved Batman, has done very well. The trade paperback edition is the yellow cover one that's out now. I also narrated the Audible book version.
Mm-hmm.
And then they asked me to write a sequel memoir, which I did. It's called Batman's Batman.
Oh, cool.
And it's basically about my misadventures in Hollywood over all these decades. And I also was privileged to narrate the Audible book for that as well. But the kicker here, folks, is that I was approached by the Nederlander Organization of New York. The Nederlanders, along with the Schuberts, own virtually all the Broadway theaters, with the exception of a couple of Disneys. And they said, Broadway is changing post-pandemic. There is a new normal that's beginning to emerge. We are looking for Broadway plays that could be entertaining, fun, but most importantly, inspiring. Wow. We read your book, and we think your story, your book, is the perfect story to be told on Broadway. So as a result of that, we now have a Tony Award-winning director on board, and we open October 1st in Tampa, Florida, at the Strauss Center for the Performing Arts, which is an amazing regional theater. We'll be playing there October 1st till November 10th. And I invite any fan of Batman, any fan who believes they also are the boy who loved Batman or the girl who loved Batman, to join us, because it is a testament to the passion and love and community of fans. Mm-hmm. Because that's what got me to where I needed to go. And that's what the play is all about.
Oh, anybody who has not read this story, I please recommend you to see it, because Michael, your story, for people who don't know, is just a guy who had a dream. And your story is a lot of parallels to mine. I got into this business and I did not know anybody and I did not know how to get there. And I just kept trying and trying, and you try a bunch of different things. And today, becoming successful, traveling around the world with a lot of these creators, Roy, Susan Jerry Conway, and just with all of them. I mean, and making a successful life, like actually making a lot of money. I mean, I could have never dreamed. But I want to read you an excerpt from one. I got two things in here that just touched me the most from your book, and I want to read it. And I hope that people out there that I related to this, and I want to tell you how it related to me. But this part right here, when you said, 5 months after law school graduation, while I was tarring a foundation for pop, the worst job requiring a burning, wash down, and turpentine afterward, it hit me that I had no job, no prospects, and would be working on my dad's crew for years to come, and that my dreams of movies and animation and TV making Batman were only dreams. As I was tarring, I started tearing up, unable to wipe my nose for fear of tarring it. I'm getting emotional. I just stood there and dripped on the foundation of someone's ritzy new house. No one was around to see, but the hopelessness of the moment was just completely overwhelming. When I was in school, I was a teacher, and I was just I was like a teacher assistant, and I was drowning. I couldn't take it. And I was in the back of the bus, and I just broke up with my girlfriend the year before, and I'm kind of seeing the same repetitive day, like it was like the summer program camp. And I'm looking at the kids, and I put my head down. I'm sitting in the back of the bus, and I just started weeping. And I was just like, this can't be where my life is going to end up. How do I make it? And when I read that, it reminded me of that moment when everything, and you tried so hard. And before that too, you had little moments like, working for DC and doing all that stuff. And then you kind of came all the way back. First off, what does that little part that I read there, what do you remember about that? I need to know. What do you remember from that?
I remember what I learned very quickly from that moment. Everyone bottoms out. Mm-hmm. And not everybody bounces back once they bottom out. And what I learned was something I had heard repeatedly from my mom and my dad, but I wasn't ready to buy into it, was that every time a door slams shut, within a reasonable period of time, another door or some window opens up. And you have to have faith that if you keep your passion burning, if you get up off the frickin' couch and continue to be proactive, sacrifice your sense of entitlement that the world owes you something or the world's going to come to you, and work it, usually refusing to accept no for an answer, you can make your dreams come true. I jumped the Grand Canyon. You know my story. I was a blue-collar kid from New Jersey. Right. My father was a mason. My mom was a bookkeeper. I didn't come from money. I couldn't buy my way into Hollywood. I didn't know anyone in Hollywood. I had no relatives in Hollywood. So how the hell do you get there? How do you crack that? And it's that combination of perseverance, commitment, and passion that get you there. But only if you're, and my apologies to a lot of Gen Zers whom I teach. Every year I go back to Indiana University and I teach 2 intensive courses for 3 weeks at the media school. And I've learned that a lot of Gen Zers want things now, and they want it quick, they want it easy. And a lot of times it just isn't quick. It just isn't easy. And often you do it without a net, without a security net below you. So it's that rolling of the dice and putting yourself into a position where you can find any door open just this much, just a crack that you can just shove your foot in and take your shot. And usually you have nothing to lose. Sometimes you do. Sometimes it's a sacrifice. Mm-hmm. But that's pretty much the path that I took.
And like I said, I had to come through. I had to go through. I'm still going through adversity, but like, I will never stop. I will always keep going. And my success now in this business, where these heroes of mine, these creators, they call me. They call me and they ask me for. I mean, like, when I get someone on the phone, they're like, John, how do I take care of this? I still kind of go like, I can't believe I'm talking to this guy. And he's talking like, no matter the hate I get online, and I'm going to say that to all the people out there that, you know, a lot of people don't like me because I got to the top of the mountain. It makes me work harder. I will never stop. And Michael, you are a testament to why I will never stop. And I thank you for that. You're an inspiration to me more than you know. But I have another excerpt here, one more this is more for fun. And was so great to see this, because I'll tell you why after, but as we started walking down the row to our seats, she grabbed my arm and held it. As I saw out of the seeming 32 corners of my eyes the jaw-dropped, frozen faces of the French Club officers, I prayed that somehow in the balcony all the high school twirlers were gaping at the scene, and that all the cheerleaders were suddenly crushed that they had missed the chance to date me during high school. That one night I so wished would never and passed in the blink of an eye. That one night, the Doors were the Doors, Jim Morrison was Jim Morrison, and Miss Blakesley was April. She told me to call her April. Wait, I'm a crazy Doors fan, and I have been for my whole life. And once again, it gave me a connection to you and your story about, and it made me drive. And tell me about Miss Blakesley. Tell me about that night seeing Jim Morrison. When I saw that, I was so happy. Mike, you did an impossible thing there. Please tell me about that.
First, before I tell the story, I want everyone to know the following.
Yes.
Before I put that story in my book, I found and contacted Miss Blakesley, who was my French teacher.
Yeah.
So when I was 17, 18, this was her first teaching job. She was about 23, 24. She was a photo double for Linda Carter.
Yeah.
As Wonder Woman.
Hot
okay.
ticket.
So I called her. I tracked her down and called her. And I told her what I was doing. She knew what I had been up to.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to read this to you. If you don't want me to publish it, I won't publish it. If you want me to make any changes, deletions, I'll do it. And when I was done reading it, she said, that is the sweetest story I ever heard. Absolutely print it. So here's the background. It was the last week of school. I guess it was I think it was my junior year. Maybe it was my senior year. I forget now. And me and the officers of the French Club were talking to Miss Blakesley. The reason we all became officers of the French Club was she was the teacher advisor. And she said, what are you guys doing this coming week when school gets out? And I said, we all got tickets to Asbury Park Convention Hall to see the Doors. And she said, oh, Jim Morrison is my God. Oh, what I wouldn't give to see them. And I don't know where it came from, because this is the comic book geek. I mean, when girls used to find out in high school that I still collected and read comic books, I was like date challenged. And I said, Miss Blakesley, I have 2 tickets, front center aisle, second row. Do you want to go? And she said, yes. So I arranged to meet her on the boardwalk in Asbury Park before the show. And I get there and I see her, and she's in a pair of bell-bottom hip huggers, button up, a lavender tank top tied right here, hair down to her butt, buffalo sandals, and my heart stopped. I thought my life was going to stop.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, this is great. Let's go in. I said, Miss Blakesley. And she said, call me April.
Oh.
So I said, Miss Blakesley, April. I said, can we wait 15 minutes before we go in? And she said, why?
Yeah.
I said, okay, you're going to think this is really stupid, but every guy I know has tickets for this. We all bought them when they went on sale. Every one of my friends is sitting in that front section. I just want to make sure they're all in there, sitting in their seats when we come in and walk down the aisle. And she looked at me, and what she should have said was, "You immature little twerp." Instead, she said to me, "Michael, I think that's a great idea."
Oh.
So 15 minutes later, we go walking, and we're about to walk down the center aisle, and she grabs me around the arm.
Yeah.
And to this day, as I said in the book, it's frozen. I could tell you where Ira Byock was sitting, where Jeff Mandel was sitting, Steve Huntington,
Yes!
Bobby Klein. And it was my summer of 42. It was just like, this magical moment of your adolescence.
Now I have to ask
Can't
you
do that today, though.
Yeah.
No.
How were the doors,
Now we all
though?
wind up in jail.
So how was Jim Morrison that day? How was
All right, guys, rock and roll is my other passion. I worked with Dick Clark for 2.5 years, and I wrote Dick Clark's The First 25 Years of Rock and Roll.
Okay, wow.
Rock and roll is my thing. I've been to the most amazing concerts ever. I was at Cream's farewell concert. I was at the concert for Bangladesh, the concert for George. I saw Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. I saw Joe Cocker, and his opening act was Led Zeppelin. It was the first week their first album came out. I've been to amazing concerts. The Doors concert was the best concert I have ever been to in my life. It was right after Miami and the big incident with the Doors in Miami.
Right.
And it was really tense. There were Asbury Park cops all over the place, including the stairs leading up to the stage in case Morrison did something or said something. And he teased them and he taunted them, and everybody was up on their chairs. It was hypnotic. If he had told us to go outside and overturn or burn cars, everybody would have just done it.
Wow.
I mean, it was that intense. And finally, at the end, he refused to stop singing. They refused to get off stage. And there was a curfew at 1 a.m. at Asbury Park.
Yeah.
And the cops didn't know what to do. They didn't know if they should go drag him off the stage, but they knew there would be a riot if they did that. So they shut off all the lights. And we were listening to the Doors continue on in the dark.
Oh my!
And then they shut down the sound system.
Unbelievable.
So
he had his beard then, right? He had the beard at that?
No, he did not have the beard then.
Because he had it in Miami, so he must have shaved it. Okay.
Then he shaved it. He didn't have it that night. And I got to tell you, I became friendly with Ray Manzarek. And
really? Ray
and I were working on a graphic novel and movie project together. Literally, he had me and my son come hear him in New York City at, where was it? At the Jazz Place on 42nd Street, and BB King's.
Okay.
And we had dinner with him. And then, I don't know, 4 days later, he passed away.
Oh, wow. So that was like in 2013.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew Ray too a little bit because he used to. My friend was a promoter and he used to bring in like the older acts, like they were guests, and Ray was one of them. And we were with just really quick. We were all at a dinner, and it would have a lot of scream queens and porn stars there too. So it was me, Ray Manzarek, the promoter. There was a porn star. I forget her name. Her name escapes me right now, but she was a famous one and a scream queen. Anyways, she was kind of in a fight with her boyfriend, and that he was coming off the plane to come get her. So anyways, we're all sitting there. The guy finally comes to the restaurant. He grabs the girl. He's like, "We got to get out of here and leave." And Ray Manzarek turns over and he looks to me. He goes, "Somebody's getting laid tonight." So awesome. Oh, okay. Look who's here. Steve, how you doing, brother? Good to see you.
I am sorry, guys. The gremlins of my computer really messed me up. I've been trying to get online since 6:30. So I apologize for being late.
Okay, but you're here now. It's good. And we got Batman down there. If you can't see right below you. Right.
Thank you, Michael. I'm finally here. So I must have missed quite a lot of good stuff, but I finally. Okay. I don't know what happened.
So
if
now
we've been having a conversation we would have had if we had a couple of beers.
Yeah.
Oh
yes.
Oh well, then John has no idea what that means. But okay.
So now, go ahead. I know you have a lot of questions for Mr. Uslan.
Yeah, well, one thing, before we kind of get into the, the movies and things that you've done and how you've gotten into that, one thing that was really that I've always adored and loved is I'd love to actually kind of hear about, how you came up with Dino Saucers and how that cartoon came to be.
Oh, man. Wow, there's a bunch of really cool stories connected to this. You stop me when I'm ramble on too long. I loved animation. I wanted to get my foot in the door in animation. I wanted to create something. My son David, when he was little, was deeply into dinosaurs and into outer space. As the littlest kid, he knew that he could pronounce the name of every dinosaur and every planet. And I realized I was the same way. And basically every male I've ever known from every generation had an affinity for dinosaurs and outer space. And one morning I was shaving and I'm thinking dinosaurs in outer space, dinosaurs, outer space, Dino Saucers. Came up with the name. And I go, okay, what is this? And then I thought about, okay, Earth revolves around the sun. The sun's 93 million miles away. What if there's a duplicate Earth 93 million miles away from the sun on the other side of the sun? And we revolve at exactly the same rate. So we don't know about them. They don't know about us. And the only difference in our planet was 65 million years ago, it was never struck by an asteroid. So the dinosaurs continued to evolve and become super smart, human-like, and that was it. That made the sense. And then I came up with, there was the bad guys, the tyrannos, the good guys, the dinosaurs, and how they come to Earth, and there's a war going on, and the dinosaurs ally themselves with 4 kids from Earth, the Secret Scouts, who were named David after my son, Sarah after my daughter, Paul after my brother, and Ryan after my cousin. And that's how that started. So the guy who was mentoring me at that time to help me get the ins and outs of how to sell a show was a wonderful guy named Stan Weston. You should know him.
Yeah.
His sons, Brad Weston and Steve Weston, have done very well in the movie business. Stan was the original architect of the first merchandising strategy for Star Wars. He worked with Mark Pevers over at 20th Century Fox, but that was his baby. He also owned G.I. Joe. Mm-hmm. And then after the dolls stopped selling, he sold it to Hasbro for $50,000.
Yes, at Weston. Yes.
Then Stan went on and created Silverhawks and what's the other one with all the cats? Thundercats. Thundercats. So now here's an adjunct to the story. I'm with Stan. We're having lunch. And I said, I bought the rights to Batman from DC. I bought the rights to Swamp Thing now from DC. They report to Warner Books. Warner Communications really looks down its nose at DC Comics. They're not proud they own a comic book company. They're kind of embarrassed because all of the people at that time who were running the show grew up in the Frederick Wortham Seduction of the Innocent generation. They were the adults who started to believe that comic books were the sole cause of the rise of juvenile delinquency in America. And I said, they told me point blank that the only reason they bought DC Comics was to get the rights to Superman because they believed only Superman had the potential to be made into a blockbuster movie. Okay. I said, I think they might sell DC. So he said, I'm having lunch next week at 21 with Steve Ross, who at that time was the head of the whole shebang. He goes, I'll float it by him. So later that week, he calls me and he says, how quickly can you get to my office? I said, I can be there in a half hour. I got there. He goes, you're right. They're willing to sell us DC Comics. They want to keep the movie, TV, merchandising rights to Superman. We can have the print rights to Superman. And they don't think they have anything else of value in that library. So we can buy that and all the rest of it. They want $11 million for it. But we have to do it within 60 days. So Stan and I went around to anybody we could think of. We were up and down Wall Street getting laughed out of people's offices. You want $11 million for a funny book company? Couldn't do it.
What year was this?
Around 84.
Around 84? Okay.
So, pardon me, everybody. I've got a little bit of a sore throat and a cough. So we were not able to do it, and it slipped through my fingers.
Oh, wow.
Years later, I'm having lunch with Stan Lee, and Stan tells me after we couldn't do it, they offered it to Stan. And I'd be interested to see what Roy knows about this. Stan went to Marty Goodman, and he said, I think we could really do great things with this. And Goodman said, all right, let me check into it. Sometime later, he comes back. He says, my lawyers tell me it'll be so expensive. The antitrust implications here of us acquiring DC and all of that, too expensive, too many lawyers, and they passed.
Huh.
But that was what was going on there. I tried to buy Marvel again. I tried to buy Marvel back when they went bankrupt for the second time. And I had the good folks running Smith Barney behind me. They were willing to back me up to $90 million in a purchase of Marvel. They put together a team of accountants, lawyers, and we spent 3 days and 3 nights in the offices of the bankruptcy trustee. And I did a whole memo of what I wanted to do with Marvel. Comic books, home video, movies, TV, animation, gaming. And they finally came back after they did their research and they said, look, this thing is hemorrhaging financially from every orifice. We believe that such and such is going to happen. And the best thing we can do is sit back and wait. And when this happens, we'll just go in and cherry pick whatever IP you want. And I said, no. I said, I know what I want. I want everything. I want the desks and I want the pencils. I want everything.
Yeah.
And they said, look, Michael, we respect you as an expert in the world of comic books and movies and all these things. You need to show us the same respect in investment banking. And here's a quote, guys. So take a chill pill and sit back and relax and let us handle this. Well, of course, end result was that fiasco that was supposed to happen didn't happen. And my opportunity to buy Marvel at $90 million went south. But
Wow.
I did get Batman. So, you win some, you lose some.
Wow. Go ahead, Steve.
It's funny. I remember at the time, because obviously I was working as an underling in the industry at the time. But I do remember there was a lot of mess going along because shortly before the bankruptcy, Marvel had decided that it was going to push its own books out. And it bought, Heroes World.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that seemed to begin this little domino effect. And then I just remember hearing, what was it? Was it Ike Perlmutter?
Perlmutter. Yeah.
Yes. I just remember hearing that name. And then, there was a lot of rumors going along. And I just thought it was so sad that, the company had been doing so well during the Tom DeFalco editorial era. And realistically speaking, I don't think Marvel made as much money ever again since 1993. 1993, I think they made more money than any other time in their history. And then slowly but surely, 1994, 1995, 1996, we kept hearing all this stuff going along. So it's fascinating for us who were, thousands of miles away, hundreds of miles away from where the action was. So it's to hear these firsthand accounts of what was going on, with how the cogs were turning, it's fascinating to me.
Well, I'll give you another one. In 1982, I think, approximately, give or take a year, I went to Jim Galton, who was president of Marvel, and my dear friend, who's wonderful, Joe Calamari, who was the head of legal and business affairs. I had just produced my first interactive video disc. Now, back then, there was RCA Selectavision.
Yeah.
You had to use a stylus to play it. There was Pioneer, which was the laser disc. And there was a third one coming called VHD, which was a joint venture of Thorn, EMI, JVC, and General Electric that was slowly making its way to America. So we produced that first interactive video disc. I learned all about the new tech world of interactive video and what was coming. And I went to Marvel. And I sat with Jim and I sat with Joe. And they didn't know any of this. And I was trying to explain what it was. So I made a contract with them to get the interactive rights to every Marvel comic book character.
Oh.
And if memory serves me correctly, and it often does, it was for $5,000.
Wow.
Just at that time, I went back to RCA, and they were just closing up shop because they said the stylus couldn't compete with the laser. So I went to VHD, and VHD said, we can't compete with the laser. We're going to abort our opening in America.
Oh.
So the only end buyer left was Pioneer. I went to the Pioneer corporate offices. I had a meeting there, explained this, how we could do choose your own adventures with all the Marvel characters.
Oh.
And they said, well, from our experience with video discs, we see it really for music, where you could just immediately go to any specific cut you want, and we could have 2 audio tracks. I go, wait a minute, guys. This is the entire Marvel library that we can make Spider-Man and Avengers and X-Men. And they said no. I said, I'll put up $2,500. I'll put up half the money.
Yeah.
And let us just develop. And they wouldn't do it. They didn't see that as the future of video. So you see where video discs are today. They had their opportunity. They didn't take it.
Oh, man. Go ahead
I'm
now.
gonna throw my Pioneer laser disc out now. I'm pretty annoyed.
Yeah.
Which I love, actually. I enjoy watching Laserdisc. I wish.
And I enjoyed it. There was a good one they did, Little River Band, and there was a bunch of nice ones they did.
Michael, I actually have a question. Okay, when you started with Batman '89, and I just want to know. I want to know your state of mind when you were sitting in the theater. This was all done, and the movie's about to go on. How did Michael Uslan feel from being this fan to getting the Batman rights, and now this movie is going to hit the way? Like, I want to know, like where was your head at and your heart at? Like, how are you? Tell me what your mind was going through. It must have been such a surreal moment.
All right, I'll break it up into 2 pieces here. One was the first time I saw the completed picture. My partner was Ben Melniker. Ben was my dad's age. Ben was a legend in the movie business. When MGM was in its Tiffany years, all divisions reported to Ben. He was chairman of their film selection committee. He made the deals for Ben-Hur, Dr. Zhivago, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Gigi and the musicals, negotiated with Colonel Parker to bring Elvis over.
Wow.
And Ben was one of the members who formed the MPAA back in 1964. So we were waiting to go in. And I forget exactly how many of us were in that audience. Maybe there were 10. And we had to go through these heavy black curtains that sectioned off the lobby from the aisle leading into the theater. And as we're about to go in and watch it for the first time complete, Ben stopped me and he said, Michael, you're going to walk through these curtains right now. 2 hours from now, you're going to pass back through them and your life will be changed.
Oh.
And he was right.
Oh.
I still get the chills 35 years later when I hear Danny Elfman's theme, when I hear Danny Elfman's Batmobile theme, when I hear Danny Elfman's end theme. I still get the chills when I watch it at all the iconic moments. I'm Batman. The first time you see the Batmobile, and then when you see it racing through the night, when the camera at the end is panning up the building to see Batman looking over the city and the bat signal in the sky, when the Batwing goes in front of the moon.
Yeah.
Oh.
These moments still do it for me.
Yeah.
And the most potent one of all we were at Pinewood in '88. I was there with my family, my wife, my 8-year-old son, and my 4-year-old daughter. And we were all in the studio, in the sound stage where they had built the roof scene. And we were all up on the rooftop during the filming of when Michael grabs the guy and goes, "I'm Batman."
Yeah.
And then throws him down, turns around, and jumps off the ledge. My daughter looked like Shirley Temple. She had a head full of blonde curls. And she's like right under Michael's right elbow. And I said, "Sarah, you got to come back. You got to come back." And the first AD was there. He says, "Nah, it's a tighter shot. She's not going to be she's not going to be in frame. It's okay." So she's literally under his elbow when this is happening. And to this very day, when I see it on a big screen,
Yeah.
I am laser focused at the edge of Michael's right elbow, looking for just that little hint of a blonde curl.
Yeah, yeah.
But the fact that my family was there watching this with me at that moment in time, and that Andy Smith then took my kids in the Batmobile for a ride through the Gotham City set, which was 5 square city blocks, long, which was unforgettable for them. And I have to tell you, when the Flash movie came out, I got a call from Warner Brothers. They asked if I would be at an event in West Hollywood. And so I said, sure. So I came with my daughter and my son and with my 2 granddaughters. And my big surprise was they brought in the actual original Batmobile from 1988 that was at Pinewood. And my 2 granddaughters got to sit in the same seats in the same Batmobile that their parents had been in when they were the kids' ages.
Oh.
And that to me was like a circle of life story.
No, God.
It was really amazing. So that scene, that moment, probably beyond everything else, for the reasons I stated, is personal, beyond just the producing of a movie.
I mean, what you guys have done, I mean, with Batman '89, everything, like you guys, the team, Tim Burton, everyone together collectively made it was cool to like Batman. Like you actually pulled like the first superhero out of a comic book and made it cool for anyone. Because if you were a jock, if you were a nerd, a geek, whatever, a mom, a dad, it was cool to like Batman, and it just grew from there. I mean,
I'll challenge you on that one. Because I was friends with Dick Donner, and Dick deserves credit for what he did with Superman 1.
I knew it. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. You're right. Yeah,
you got to give him the credit for that. What we then did was brought the darkness to Batman.
Right.
And that was misinterpreted by every studio in Hollywood. Everyone in Hollywood got the wrong message in the corporate offices. They said, "Oh, in order for a superhero movie to be successful, it's got to be dark." That's not true. In order for a superhero movie to be successful, it has to be true to the integrity of the character.
Yes.
Of course.
So Dark Batman makes sense. Casper the Unfriendly Ghost doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been very slow to learn there's a difference here. And you get characters that should never have been dark that suddenly turn dark and didn't work.
Michael, I want to ask you from now yet, when you first met Bob Kane, and then did you ever meet him after that you owned Batman? Did you meet him prior, and then you were a bigwig later on and met him? Or when did you first meet Bob?
I met Bob 100 times.
Okay. But the thing is, I'm saying, like, when you were a lowly guy at DC doing that stuff, or now you own the rights to Batman and you're making these movies, I wonder what his difference. Did he know you were going to make it that, or like how?
All right. So I first met Bob at New York Comic Con. It was one of Phil Souling's Comic Cons.
Yeah.
Don't ask me which one. You can look it up if it was 67, 68.
Yeah.
One of those Comic Cons that he showed up. That's the first time I met him as a kid. When I bought the rights to Batman,
yeah,
I reached out to Bob. And when July of 1980, and this is important too, we decided that that was the moment we were going to make our first public announcement, or a press release and a public announcement. And by that time, we were affiliated with Casablanca Records.
Okay.
Casablanca Records were the kings of disco.
Yeah.
It was Neil Bogart and not Neil. Yeah,
Kiss, right? Kiss
Yeah.
was on Casablanca.
yeah, Bogart and
Yeah, Bogart.
and Peter Guber.
Yeah.
And Ben got a call tipping him off that they were about to get a cash infusion from Polygram in Europe, and they were going to open up a film division. And Ben said, you know, Guber, he tried to hire Guber to run MGM production in 1969 in a troika. And he said, you know, Guber's a lot younger and more hip than the executives we've been pitching to who have all turned us down. He goes, you know, maybe Peter will see the potential in this. So I wound up pitching it to Peter over the phone, and he said, all right, come in. I gotta hear this in person. And 2 days later, we were in LA pitching it in person. I tried to then convince the powers that be at Casablanca to give us the money for this first announcement. And they said, fine, we'll do a press conference. We'll do this. We can do this event. I go, no, it's got to be at a comic book convention. And the only big comic book convention at that time was really New York. New York was still the top of it before San Diego really took off. And they said, you're out of your mind. Why should we waste money announcing something at a comic book convention, for God's sake? What is that? I finally convinced them to give us the money to do it. And on that weekend of 1980 in New York at the Statler Hilton, which they just tore down in the last few weeks, we were able to get the bat signal projected onto the Empire State Building. We made the announcement, and I invited Bob Kane not only to be there, but to speak at the announcement. Okay. It was me, the speakers were me, Ben, Jeanette Kahn, and Bob Kane. And then we did press interviews, and we threw a cocktail party only for the press and comic book professionals. They had never been treated like that before by anyone in the media. Yeah. And that was the first time a movie was announced at a comic book convention. It had never been done before. So that was very, very important in the scheme of the evolution of things.
Wow. Crazy. Go ahead, Steve.
It's funny looking back on it now, because I want to give you a little bit of history of something that you would probably never be aware of.
Yeah.
I broke into the industry in 1993, and whenever we would do a show, we would, go out there, pull all our boxes out, and sell all these issues. And I thought we were doing very well. And all I heard for year after year was, you should have been here when the Batman movie came out. We sold so much. Oh, that was the golden time, Steve. The gravy train's over. You're joining at the wrong moment. I kept hearing it again and again and again. And I was just like, please, but that Batman movie, they sold 500 million books, and now we can only sell, 600,000. But I just thought, again, coming down to that level of putting books out on tables and underneath, I would, dealers would come up to me and go, I remember I did a show at Big Apple, and I put 50 boxes of Batman out at $1 a piece, and they all sold. Oh my God! And I'm thinking, okay, I wasn't in the industry then. Why are you killing me with this news? It doesn't help me right now. But what Niall said is extremely, important in regards to the effect. Because I remember being over in England, and of course on our little island, it was nowhere near the same. And then over comes Prince, and he's got this song in the charts, and it's the Batman, and people who didn't have any idea about comics or anything. I go, did you see Prince? Did you see Batman? Did you see? I don't know. I think the closest we've got to that event and that magic magic, I think, was the first Avengers movie. The first Avengers movie got close to it, but I still think to this day, and I don't, because hey, the Pandora's box can only be opened once. I think the effect of the Batman movie on pop culture and on the comic industry, all the way down to the people who were working in little comic shops back in 1989, cannot be understated. So, yes, you know, the accolades that you're due in regards to the big stuff and those huge, huge, big cogs that you were turning, you know, you're getting millions of people tipping their hat to you. But I just wanted to let you know that it filtered all the way down to those little guys that had the little boxes under the tables. It's truly a remarkable thing, from all the way up there to having, you know, the Batman signal, okay, on a building, to people going, wow, I just sold all my books out from under the table. I just wanted to give you that perspective.
This is so meaningful to me on so many levels. And for those of you who are listening or watching who weren't alive and functional in 1989, let me set the scene, because you've got to understand the context of the time. In that magical summer of 1989, you could not walk 20 steps through Times Square without seeing someone in a Batman hat or a black Batman t-shirt.
Yeah.
Paul Levitz told me later that, excuse me, the manufacturing industry had run out of black material because the t-shirts ate it all up. They were so prolific. And it was the best marketed movie in history.
I'm sure.
And it started when you saw posters and gigantic billboards go up. And when I say gigantic billboards, I'm talking everything from Times Square to the Champs-Élysées in Paris. And for the first time in movie history, the name of the movie was not on the billboards and posters.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a black bat and a gold oval, and all it said beneath it was June 23rd.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
But everybody in the world seemed to know it was coming.
Yeah.
But we were under attack. We were under the most intense fan attack. And it went beyond that into mainstream media. And remember, there was no internet, no computers, no social media. This was all TV, radio, and newspapers and magazines. We were under this intense attack by people who said, you guys are going to screw this whole thing up. My God, you've got a stand-up comedian, Mr. Mom, playing Batman in a movie directed by the director of Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
You were going to make the 66 TV show look like serious business. How dare you? And we were getting, I still have some of them, petitions signed by all these fans.
Yeah.
The Wall Street Journal did a front page article attacking us before anyone saw the movie, right? I honestly thought they were going to surround the studio with pitchforks and torches.
Yeah.
And something had to be done, and done quickly. The studio put out like a 2-minute trailer. I mean, rushed it out. There was no music on it or anything, just a 2-minute trailer. It's on YouTube. And it's the one that starts where you see the back of the Batmobile and the flames shooting out.
Yeah.
That's the one you want to see, with no music in it. It was that trailer that changed everything. Yeah. Where everybody said, oh, wait a minute. They weren't kidding. This is new. This is dark. This is different. This is serious business. And that was the moment everything swung in the other direction. They were breaking into bus stops, smashing the glass and getting the posters out. Comic book conventions, I'm sure it wasn't you guys, were selling black market DVD, not DVDs back then, it was VHS or Betamax probably, $25 a pop of the trailer for 2 minutes. Movie theaters were reporting in that they were getting swamped with phone calls. And it was phone calls from people going, in what movie is the Batman trailer showing?
Wow.
And they would say, like, well, it's in Driving Miss Daisy at 4 o'clock. All these people would go buy tickets to Driving Miss Daisy
Wow.
watch the trailer, and then leave.
Wow.
So how do you describe that to someone who's never experienced it? How do you describe to somebody what it's like when every single performance, whether it's at 1 o'clock in the morning, 6 p.m. at night, 10 o'clock in the morning, every seat is filled, and you have 500, 1,000 people clapping at the same time, cheering at the same time, laughing at the same time, stone silent at the same time. It's an experience that people virtually no longer have in a movie theater.
Yeah.
And it was an incredible, incredible moment in time. And you're right. It changed the comic book industry. It changed Hollywood forever, for better or worse. And it changed the world culture's perception of comic books and superheroes.
That's why I challenge your challenge. That's all I'm saying. You know,
Yeah.
I think Batman did more. No disrespect to the Superman films. I think the Batman movie did a lot more, followed with Batman Returns, and ultimately inspired, you know, Batman the Animated Series. Probably one of the greatest animated series to date.
Well, Superman transcended boundaries and borders. Batman transcended cultures.
Yes. Agreed.
Now, can you give me the big head for a second?
Yeah.
What?
I want to show you this. Obviously, you know about, because you put it. I got the light here, but the picture of you here reading the comic. What would Michael today say to this little dreamer right here if you could go back in time and say something to him? Because that's you reading your Batman book and learning origin and vulnerability, just like I did. Those words. What would he say to this little guy?
Keep dreaming. Keep loving the comic books that open your imagination, because you are going to find a way to make it into your work and to make it into your whole life. This is going to be a great roller coaster ride. Don't stop. Don't let anybody tell you no. Don't let anybody make fun of you. Don't let the girls tell you to go away. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And by the way, that's an adventure comic I'm reading there.
Oh, okay. But unbelievable. Okay, I know Michael's got to get out of here. Steve, any last words from Mr. Uslan?
You know, I'm very sorry that I wasn't here for the first part, but it has been a true honor to hear firsthand information. It really has been. And I'm sure that, you know, you've received many accolades over the countless decades. But as someone that has basically been in the trenches for a long time, you know, I'm still involved in retail. I didn't transition out and become something else. I just want you to know that the 1989 Batman movie really is the biggest mover of comic product I think there's ever been, and I don't think it'll ever be matched. They came close to match it in 1993, but the sheer effect and your drive and your persistence in getting something done really did make, I think, the biggest contribution to our little industry that we have down here in the trenches. And I just want to give you all the kudos in the world for that.
Thank you so much for that. It means a lot to me. Can I wrap it up with one more story?
Oh, please.
And John, it's the story that I chose to close The Boy Who Loved Batman with.
Oh, yeah.
So I get a call out of the blue from a colonel at West Point. And he said, Mr. Uslan, every year the cadets of West Point have an award. And the Cadets' Choice Award goes to the person who most exemplifies the code of honor at West Point. And this year they voted it for Batman the Dark Knight.
Wow.
Would you consider coming up to West Point and accepting the award on his behalf and speak to 4,500 cadets at their lunchtime? I said I would be honored to do that. So my wife and I went up. Place is gorgeous. They bring us to the eating hall, which looked like the Vikings built it, and it's set from Harry Potter. It's stone coming to a V with a stone balcony up in the above, vaulted ceilings, flags, and all these tables, and all the cadets standing at attention next to the tables. And as we're going up to the balcony for the award, I said, how long would you like me to speak? I said, normally when I give a TED talk or a commencement address, I can speak for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And they said, oh, Mr. Uslan, I'm sorry if we didn't explain it. Lunch here is only 15 minutes long. We need you to speak for 2 minutes. And with that, they give me the award and they hand me the microphone. And I'm now facing 4,500 cadets standing at attention. And I said, cadets of West Point, when Bruce Wayne was a boy, he saw his parents murdered before his eyes on a city street. At that moment in time, he sacrificed his childhood and made a vow. He vowed that he would spend the rest of his life getting the guy who did this, getting all the bad guys, even if he had to walk through hell in order to accomplish that. I said, in doing that, he became a warrior. He became an urban legend. He became the Dark Knight. I said, cadets of West Point, you are Batman.
Wow.
Now, I get the chills again.
Yeah.
They just burst into cheers and applause. I don't know how long it went on. They were standing on chairs. Hats were selling. It was an incredible, incredible moment to experience. Topped only a week later, when I'm at my office and I'm opening my mail and I get a letter from a woman I do not know. And the letter goes something like this. Dear Mr. Uslan, you don't know me. My name is such and such. My son was one of the West Point cadets you spoke to last week at West Point. She said, I don't know if you're aware of what you did, but all of our kids are going to be going off to Iraq and Afghanistan next month. This is serious business for all of our families. You, last week, gave our kids a calling card. They are walking around campus now, high-fiving each other, bouncing off each other's chests, going, I am Batman. You are Batman. She said, in the years to come, whenever they encounter each other again on some foreign battlefield, this will be their greeting. This will be their calling card. And I can't thank you enough for that gift.
That just gave me such
That was it, fellas.
Wow.
That was it.
Wow.
I said, okay, this is the closing chapter of my book. Isn't this what it's all about? How much did Batman and our superheroes influence the development of our own codes of ethics and morals when we were growing up? How inspiring have they been about not giving up, about persevering? You know, it's the lessons that define us and that make comic book superheroes completely legitimately our modern day mythology.
Absolutely.
You know, these are still, I don't care if you call it King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table or the Avengers or the Justice League. It's the same thing. It's brave heroes of the day fighting the demons and dragons of their day. And that's what Stan and Jack and Steve and Roy and Siegel and Schuster and Finger and Kane and Bill Parker and C.C. Beck and William Moulton Marston.
Gardner Fox.
Peter.
Gardner.
Who?
Gardner Fox.
My favorite writer from the Silver Age, by the way.
Yes.
This is what they've given us. And this is what hopefully we will continue to pass along generation to generation. And maybe that's the greatest thing we can do, whether it's in the form of comics and graphic novels, games, movies, TV, animation, to continue to set those kinds of examples and build those kinds of characters. Then, you know, if we all just follow that and lay down a path for others younger to follow it, we will have honored all the creators who are no longer with us. And 90% of them were friends of mine. whom I was lucky enough to get to know. So my quest was not only to legitimize Batman and restore his darkness and dignity, it was also bring respect to the work of Bill Finger, Bob Kane, Jerry Robinson, and everybody that was working in the business for decades, who were denigrated, who were looked down upon. And now their work is in galleries, they're in museums, they're at universities on display.
Yeah.
You know, it's that's been a great part of my mission. And it's very much a personal one. So I love talking to you guys, because it's not like with the mainstream press where it's typically will start pow zap wham, you brought the dark Batman. So I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate the opportunity to do it. And I might suggest maybe in October we reconvene when Joker FOLIE A DEUX comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Because there will be an awful lot to talk about.
I'm going to hold you to that, Mike. I'm going to hold you to that.
That's what I was going to say is, you know, I wanted to thank you for coming on, but I also wanted to say, you know, this is like our 2-minute trailer, guys, right? Just like Batman 89 had. You know, we set up the scaffolding. We're ready to sculpt our David. I mean, there's so much to unpack with you, Michael, with all the work you've done and from, you know, what you've done in the animation, television, comics. I mean, we could go on for hours and hours. So I would love for you to come back onto the channel and dive into something. That.
And let me not forget Stan's plug message. You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm told I'm on X now also. But you know, my books you can get through Amazon, The Boy Who Loved Batman, or Batman's Batman, barnesandnoble.com. The Audible books are through Amazon as well. And lastly, please come join me in Tampa for the Broadway-bound play, The Boy Who Loved Batman, that opens October 1st. We'll be there October 1st to November 10th, and I'll be there most of the time and would love to meet you all.
And lastly, Michael, I just want to end it saying this. This has been one of my favorite episodes we've done. And like I said, you are a hero of mine, and you gave me the ability to dream. Your passion reminded me of my passion, and it inspired me. You, not Batman, you are a hero for me. Joe, I just want you to know that. You're my hero, man. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. There's $1 in the mail to you right away.
All right, Steve. Get us out of
his
here.
Venmo.
Get us out of here, Steve.
Boom.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
everyone.
Michael.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on Pop XP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the Pop XP and over on Instagram at the Pop XP. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you soon.